Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that many people find fascinating, and sometimes even a little confusing: why rich people think differently about money. You may have noticed that wealthy people often make decisions that seem strange or risky to others. They invest large amounts of money, start businesses, or buy assets instead of saving everything in the bank. In this episode, we will explore how their mindset works and what we can learn from it. First, let's start with a simple idea: money is not just about numbers. For many people, money is connected to emotions like fear, stress, or security. If you grew up in a family where money was always a problem, you might see money as something that is hard to get and easy to lose. Because of this, you may feel safer keeping your money in a savings account and avoiding risks. Rich people, on the other hand, often see money as a tool. They do not only think about how to keep it, but also about how to use it to create more opportunities. This does not mean they are not careful. It means they focus on what money can do, not only on how to protect it. One of the biggest differences is how rich people think about spending and investing. Many people believe that being rich means spending a lot of money on luxury things like expensive cars, big houses, or designer clothes. While some wealthy people do enjoy these things, most of them focus first on investments. They ask themselves a simple question: will this purchase make me richer or poorer in the future? For example, imagine you receive a bonus from your job. You could spend it on a new phone or a holiday. There is nothing wrong with that. But a person with a rich mindset might think differently. They might decide to invest that money in stocks, real estate, or their own education. They see money as something that should grow over time, like a plant that needs water and care. Another important difference is how rich people think about risk. Many people are afraid of losing money, so they avoid situations where there is any chance of failure. This is completely natural. Losing money can feel painful and stressful. However, wealthy people often understand that risk is part of growth. They know that not every investment will be successful, but they also know that without risk, there is usually no big reward. This does not mean they take crazy risks or gamble with all their money. Instead, they try to manage risk. They learn about the market, study different options, and spread their investments across different areas. This is called diversification. By doing this, even if one investment fails, they do not lose everything. Let's talk about time, because this is another key difference. Many people think about money in the short term. They focus on their next salary, next bill, or next holiday. Rich people often think in the long term. They plan for 5, 10, or even 20 years in the future. They understand that real wealth usually does not come from quick wins, but from small, smart decisions made again and again over many years. A good example of this is compound interest. This is when you earn interest not only on your original money, but also on the interest you have already earned. Over time, this creates a snowball effect, and your money can grow faster and faster. People with a wealthy mindset respect time and let their money grow slowly but steadily instead of looking for fast and risky profits. Another interesting difference is how rich people view education and learning. Many wealthy individuals invest a lot of time and money in learning new skills. They read books about business, finance, psychology, and leadership. They attend seminars, take online courses, and learn from mentors. They see knowledge as one of the most valuable investments because it can help them make better decisions in the future. In contrast, some people stop learning about money after they leave school. They might feel that finance is too complicated or boring. But the truth is, understanding basic financial concepts can make a big difference in your life. You do not need to become an expert, but knowing how budgeting, investing, and debt work can help you avoid many common mistakes. Now let's discuss how rich people think about work. Many people believe that the only way to earn more money is to work more hours. They trade their time for money. Of course, this is how most jobs work. But wealthy people often try to create systems where they can earn money even when they are not working all the time. This is called passive income. Passive income can come from things like rental properties, dividends from stocks, royalties from books or music, or profits from a business that runs without your daily involvement. The idea is not to stop working completely, but to create multiple sources of income. This gives them more financial security and more freedom to choose how they spend their time. Another key point is how rich people think about failure. For many people, failure is something to avoid at all costs. It can feel embarrassing and disappointing. But successful and wealthy people often see failure as a lesson. If a business idea does not work, they try to understand why. They ask themselves what they can do better next time. This mindset helps them grow and improve instead of giving up. It is also important to talk about social circles and environment. Rich people often spend time with others who are also focused on growth, business, and investment. When you are surrounded by people who talk about ideas, opportunities, and goals, it can change the way you think. You start to see possibilities that you did not notice before. This does not mean you need to leave your old friends behind. But it shows how powerful your environment can be. If everyone around you believes that becoming wealthy is impossible, you may start to believe it too. On the other hand, if you see people building businesses and investing successfully, it becomes easier to imagine doing the same. Another difference is how rich people use debt. Many people see debt only as something negative. They think of credit cards, loans, and the stress that comes with paying them back. And it is true that bad debt can be dangerous. For example, using credit cards to buy things you do not really need can lead to serious financial problems. However, wealthy people often use what is called good debt. This is debt that helps them earn more money in the future. For example, they might take a loan to buy a rental property or to start a business. If the investment is successful, the income it generates can be higher than the cost of the loan. In this way, debt becomes a tool rather than a trap. Let's also talk about habits. Rich people usually develop strong financial habits. They track their expenses, plan their budgets, and regularly review their investments. These habits may sound simple, but they are very powerful over time. Small daily decisions, like saving a little money or avoiding unnecessary spending, can create big results after many years. At the same time, wealthy people are often willing to spend money on things that save them time or increase their productivity. For example, they might pay for professional services, tools, or education that helps them work more efficiently. They understand that time is limited and valuable, so they focus on activities that bring the highest return. One more interesting point is how rich people define wealth. For some people, wealth means having a lot of expensive things. But many wealthy individuals see wealth as freedom. Freedom to choose where they live, what kind of work they do, and how they spend their days. This is why they often focus on building assets and passive income rather than only increasing their salary. So, what can we learn from all of this? The goal of this episode is not to say that rich people are better or smarter than everyone else. Everyone has different opportunities, backgrounds, and challenges. But understanding how wealthy people think about money can help us make more informed decisions in our own lives. You can start with small steps. For example, you can begin by tracking where your money goes each month. You can read one book about personal finance or watch educational videos online. You can also start saving and investing even small amounts of money. The most important thing is to build the habit and the mindset over time. It is also helpful to change the way you talk about money, both to yourself and to others. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," you might ask, "How could I afford this in the future?" This small change in language encourages you to think about solutions and opportunities rather than only about limits. Another practical step is to set clear financial goals. Rich people often know exactly what they are working toward. It could be financial independence, starting a company, or building a certain level of savings. When you have a clear goal, it becomes easier to make daily decisions that support that goal. Finally, remember that building wealth usually takes time. There are very few real overnight success stories. Most wealthy people spend years learning, working, failing, and trying again. Patience and consistency are often more important than luck or talent. To summarize, rich people tend to think about money as a tool, focus on long-term growth, manage risk instead of avoiding it, invest in education, create multiple income streams, learn from failure, and build strong financial habits. These ways of thinking are not limited to people who are already rich. Anyone can start to adopt them, step by step. I hope this episode helped you understand why rich people often make different financial choices and how their mindset shapes their actions. You do not need to copy everything they do, but you can choose the ideas that make sense for your own life and situation. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it with a friend who is also interested in improving their financial knowledge and English skills at the same time. See you in the next episode.